Alright, so far the only issue that I've had up to this point of getting the red handles onto this skid steer plate is this pin right here. This spring actually back in here needs to be compressed a little bit. You can do it. I just actually end up using a punch to kind of wedge it in there. I'll try to set up the camera when I do this side over here. The next problem I'm running into is this this pin right here, the shoulder bolt. Let me see if I can get it in here. The problem I'm running into is to get it in there like that. By the time I rotate this up and get it in there, let me see if I can do this one-handed. I don't think I can, but we can certainly try. I'm getting interference right here on this handle. So I'm not quite sure what I can do about that. I'll probably end up just grinding down the bolt, the pin. I'm only, probably a 1/4 inch. I can grind that off the edge, and I think that'll be fine. And then just in case, I'll go ahead and order two new pins in case this doesn't work out. But that's the only problem I'm running into so far. I'll work with this a little bit, try a couple different settings for the geometry, and see if I can't make this work a little bit better. So, but that's the only issue I've run into so far. To be a direct match, we'll see how it goes. I'm just really terrible at showing work steps. But anyway, what I had to do is I actually had to grind this pin somewhat flat on the top. It is directional up front, so I think that's important to note. So you can kind of see where I just ground the top of it flat right there, ground it down to the pin diameter. So, and then I still had to hammer it in because this back edge right here, the back edge right there kind of interfered still. In fact, you can see some of the red paint on there, I hope. So anyway, now I just have to do the other side. This actually works. Obviously, it's really hard to move this up and down, so but you can use it without an electric actuator. And so I'll go ahead and get the other side on, and then as soon as I get some wiring harnesses and some switches, I will put the electric actuator on. I still have to put these back on this this unit right here. I still have that one on. Decided to do the swap. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it's going. I figured there'd be a little modification along the way. We'll see how it goes. I still got a little bit of work to do, but I think it'll work. Well, sadly, we have a problem. My electric actuator is too long, which is a bit of a disappointment. I thought this was going to be a bolt-in kit. Obviously, it is not. So, yeah, this is not something you want to do. So you got to solve the problem here. You can order these actuators, and basically the problem is, and it's kind of weird. I don't know why Deere doesn't offer this option for this machine, but anyway, the skid steer plates on this loader are basically they're 18 inches apart for these mounting bolts right here, mounting pins. And on the 304 mount, they are 21 inches apart, which accounts for that approximately 3 inches between there and there. So, yeah. I have a wire harness on order. Before I order any more parts, what I need to do is I need to make sure the travel on this, I have to go from 12 inches in the current position to I think 18 inches. So there's basically, there's 6 inches of travel there that I'll need to account for. So anyway, I don't know if maybe there's not an electric actuator that has the force needed to do this, and I'll have to convert it all back and, you know, basically just sell the part. I'm not going to take it back to Deere for that 25% hit on restocking, but because I mean, it, you know, when you do stuff like this, you take a gamble, and in this case, you know, without available specs, it's my fault because I didn't even think to measure the distance between the mounting bolts, because all the parts are exactly the same. That's the frustrating thing. Aside from these mounting bolts, which I knew, which I figured were just a larger diameter, I didn't think I was going to have to shave them down. But aside from those mounting bolts, every other part is exactly the same, from the straps, the springs, etc., etc. And so I figured it would mount right up. Little did I know that the actual distance between the pins was shorter for this style mount. I'm not sure why that is. It's kind of frustrating, because if you look at it, you know, maybe this is for larger skid steers. I don't know. I'm looking at the mounts here, and I'm a bit confused on why it's not lining all up. I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash in terms of math. But yeah, so I got to go source I have to go source a different linear actuator for this setup. Hopefully I can get a very similar one. Anyway, that's going to be it for right now. The project's still on. I'm still going to do it, just a little setback, not quite as fast as I originally intended. So eventually what we're going to do is, I haven't decided exactly which direction I'll mount this because of well, I won't mount this one, but I don't know which direction I will eventually mount the linear actuator I end up with. I'll probably mount it this way to where the wiring harness is over here. And probably what I'll do is I'll actually run it up to the leveling, the level rod right here, and then I'll put a gap in it, and it'll eventually run up the loader arm like this behind the loader, and then run down for all the electrical supply and everything else. And then in the cab, what we will do is I'm actually going to put that switch right here. So I've got to take off this whole panel, and that switch will go right there. It's just a rocker switch with a light in it. So that'll go right here, and we should be good to go. So just going to take me a little longer than I anticipated, which is fine. Not really a huge deal. So yeah, anyway, that's probably going to be at the end of part 2 for this series. And it'll be a couple weeks before I can source the rest of the parts, the linear actuator and stuff. So anyway, I think that's about it. I'll be back with more updates.